outside line there. Then they will come down toward the gate but circle away from home over what is the Calumet door fence, number 3. We saw that one play a role in the last couple of classes there when they were trying to make a nice tight turn to 3 and back to 4 again. And I might as well go ahead and let someone who's done this himself take over in the description of the route here. Steve, we have gotten up to, Steve Stevens with us, of course. We've gotten up to fence number 3 there. That's the fan vertical with those narrow rails again. After that, they go up to the top end of the arena and back down toward home over the Longines combination. If you want to take over there and tell them about that.
They really, the first round they will ride smoothly. It's not like anything speed that they have to do besides the time allowed itself. So they don't have to shave any turns and get inside cuts in this class because it's not, the speed is only in the second phase, not in the first phase. So this is sort of a normal first round, which jumps half of the course, and then you get through fence 1 through 8. We're at 4, 4AB, Oxer to the vertical, and then we'll come a little bending turn and get the Oxer for number 5 down here by the end gate. 145 square Oxer with a little bit of spread of 150. Then they're going to roll back around the clock and go down the 3 jumps in a row, which is sort of a calisthenic, a little bit of jumping skills. You just go, jump the line, and the Liverpool is in the middle of that line, and then you finish up over the Oxer. Now, when they go through the finish line over number 8, it's also the start line of the speed. So it'll do a two-purpose thing. It'll break the finish and give you a finish time, and also starts, if you're clear, start for the speed phase of it, yeah.
And they need to be clear to get through to that speed phase. Some of these two-phase events allow them to continue on to the second phase regardless of if they have faults, and those faults just carry through with them into the speed phase. In this one, I believe we're only allowing them to continue on to that speed phase if they are clear to that point. So speed phase starting after that line and going on to number 9.
Number 9, they're going to do a rollback. Now they're going to be looking to shave the turns and go as fast as they can without risking the pole, okay, without a rail down. So then they're going to go 9, then we'll go down to 10AB, another combination. So the first half has a combination in it, and the second has a combination. That's just a nice balance in course building. Not that you just have. Okay, so we're going 10AB. Now we're going to come around to 11.
Right in the center of the ring under the jumbo screen there.
I think there's the inside turn coming from 10AB to come back inside, like they did it opposite in the earlier classes in the day, and it was doable. So now they can come between the clock and fence number 5 and get the blue vertical.
To the ringmaster.
And we'll quickly finish out that course description there. Of course, that was John Franzrev III with the sounding of the call. After number 11, the blue vertical. Then on to number 12, the yellow, red, and white Oxer.
And then a long run to number 13.
Which is all the way on the other side of the ring there. John was standing very close to that fence on his way in for the sounding of the call. The coach horn announces the arrival of our first in the order here, Daniel Blumen in Colestina H. Of course, he is a native to Columbia and is based in Wellington, Florida, but over the past couple of years has traced his roots back and become a representative of Israel in international competition. Daniel is 30 years of age, 32nd in the Longines World Ranking. Colestina H is his 10-year-old bay German warm blood mare by Colestus.
This horse demonstrated yesterday an unbelievable jumping style. My goodness, he just got so much air between the jump and the height with his hind end. I said it was very hard to set on this type of jump of a horse because he really can give you a little bit of a whiplash in the back. Daniel being a really good rider. I mean, he can find the middle of the whole situation. He can ride any type of horse.
Indeed, and I remember this. It's cool when you get to watch somebody coming up, and I remember when Daniel used to show, even here in Kentucky, in some of the children's jumper classes, and he's come such a long way since that time, having, again, represented at some huge international events and taken some big wins throughout Europe, Spruce Meadows, the Hampton Classic, the Winter Equestrian Festival. He's been a Finale Grand Prix winner there.
Okay, here's this turn that we were talking about right inside there.
And it's
a little looky when you get in there. You don't know if you're going to number 7 in the Liverpool, or you come around that corner and the horse is really looking at the Liverpool. He has to take his eye off of the Liverpool and put him back onto the vertical.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a test in and of itself. And Daniel gets there without penalty in 29.38.
I think it's a nice round.
So fault free in 29.38. That's the time that's going to be most important, the time that comes in the second phase. Of course, they have to stay within the initial phase time allowed if they want to get into that second phase, and the time allowed in the initial phase is 50 seconds. So if they stay within that time allowed and they don't have any penalties from the first round, they can continue directly on to the second phase. So coming up next will be Jordan Coyle. Jordan has 2 entries in the class here today. He represents Ireland, and first up will be aboard Arisso. Now, Arisso is a 10-year-old great Swedish warm-blood stallion. Took over this ride early this year from fellow Irish rider David O'Brien. Back in 2008, he competed in the European Championships for ponies. He's had several wins in his native Ireland, also through Mexico, Spruce Meadows here in the U.S. Was a recent winner in Tryon earlier this month aboard another horse named Picador in a $37,000 class. I mentioned the fact that he was competitor at the European Championship on ponies because his history goes way back into his sort of youthful or junior years, even before coming here to the U.S., but he's shown nicely here as well.
Now he finishes up this line without any rails. So far is good. Jumping really nice.
Yeah, and this is still the phase where you don't really have to rush it because all you really want to do is get to that line right there.
That's where you see him make that really quick roll back.
Kick in the time.
You said he has another horse later?
Well, he does have 2 in this. He's the only one with multiple entries in this power and speed class.
We had a rider yesterday that withdrew it and didn't really get himself qualified. I know one of the riders is going to have to finish a course.
Just to qualify for the Grand Prix tomorrow night.
Yeah,
you have to have completed a course in the International Division to be eligible there. Jordan Coyle posts a 28.43 time, penalty-free here aboard Arisso, and that is going to be good for him, putting him right on top now, edging out Daniel Blumen for the new lead by a little less than a second. So it's Ireland on top now in 28.43.
You know, Daniel's horse jumps so high and so big. He's got what we call hang time. Mm-hmm. And so a horse that stays a little closer to the jump, you know, can, you know, beat a horse that jumps so much, blossom or whatever you want to call it. I mean, he's putting a foot and a half over. He's got a hang time that's a fraction of a second.
Yeah, less time on the ground is more time in the air, but no matter what, you got to balance that time out. You really want the quick ones, but Kristen Vanderveen coming up next. She's got 1 entry, this being Bull Run Jumpers entry Faustino Di Tilly. Kristen has had several wins in Tryon and Traverse City this year already. She's always a regular. She's got a big string of horses that are competing at the highest levels. She, of course, represents the U.S. Once again, Faustino Di Tilly, the entry on course right now. It's a 15-year-old great Belgian stallion.
She's won so much at Tryon, I think she's opened up a bank to keep her money in. She really has. She's the queen there, man. She's, as we say, she owns that place as far as wins.
Yeah, lots of people really sort of base
she's
themselves
now
there.
she's going to put it. This horse proved yesterday to be she's had an unlucky rail. So
he was almost wanting to give her a little more than she was willing to take at that point.
I think she ended up a little bit on the tight side there and just couldn't quite fit it in and get the high legs on the ground, get the push off. But when he does his thing, he's difficult to beat. And he doesn't look all that fast, but it's smooth and it's cutting and angling and hit the ground and going to the next fence right away.
And you can see that she was very quick. 4 faults, the score, of course, but it comes in a time of 27.35.
And she didn't look rushed. She didn't look like she was really going anywhere, but she's getting it done.
Just a little trouble coming around that turn to the Taylor Harris vertical, which would have been the first fence in the speed phase. This is an interesting format, I think, because usually, I think more often than not, you're either going to have a 1-round competition like we just saw in the junior amateurs, or you're going to have some sort of a 2-phase competition or a 2-round competition where you have a break between the first round and the second round. It's interesting when you've got to sort of switch your mindset after a set number of jumps to say, okay, take it easy through this part of the course and then kick it into high gear after you jump 8.
You know, this competition, this table that we run this under, is probably got three different style of phases to it. You can do it the way you do now. If you don't go clear, they blow you out after the finish line of the first phase, or then the next one is they blow you out in the American rules, and you get a score and a time. And then the next one is that you doesn't matter what, you have a rail down in the first phase, you can jump,
keep on going.
You can jump the second phase, so you get.
But you just carry those faults through.
You get faults from both phases then.
Well, here we have Mclean Ward aboard Kentucky. Kentucky 11-year-old Bay Westphalian gelding, and of course, this is a rider who really needs no introduction. He's had countless wins here at the National Horse Show.
Who's this little boy again?
He's a young upstart out of Brewster, New York.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We, of course, know Mclean Ward, big-time gold medalist for the U.S. World Games, Olympic Games, World Cup Championships, all to his credit. Wins all over the map, including here, as I said. What a great turn that was.
Really fast. You know, we talked about Mclean and this horse yesterday. He just took it easy and kind of coasted around, and sort of, we thought that he had something else in mind during the week, and I think we just saw what he had in mind.
This might have been for Kentucky. Wow, 26.65. Good job. The times keep getting quicker and quicker. This one fast and fault-free, and first in the ranking as a result.
You want me to pick results again?
You know, Steve, you've been 2 for 2 when you've spoken up early in the class. You've picked winners, actually 3 for 3. You also chose who you thought was going to be the winner of the Hamill Medal last Sunday. Then you picked a winner yesterday and a winner today in the international jumper and the junior classes. So, yeah, go ahead. Venture a guess. You think Mclean's got it locked up?
I got a good feeling.
Okay.
I really like that turn to number 11. Ooh, that was, and he was on the ground and over to number 13 really quick.
All right. Well, if winning the National Horse Show Grand Prix is a high point, so is the ASPCA Mclean Championships, and that's an accomplishment of Hunter Holloway 4 years back. She rides now Pepito Conspita. This is entry number 323, and one of her go-to horses that's been in the big prize money in the top 3 and 4 positions in Tryon and Traverse City, as well as Ocala in the early part of the year. Pepita Conspita is a 9-year-old gray Westphalian mare, and she's doing a pretty good job of it so far here.
I think if you do beat Mclean, I mean, there's always the possibility, okay? But you're going to have to work for it, you're going to have to be lucky, and you're going to have to go all out to get it done.
All right, so here's where she's got to kick it in. And this turn back to 11 is ever crucial. It was an incredibly direct and accurate route there by Mclean. Not too shabby by Hunter.
She did it well. She's a little further out on that jump. She landed a little more to the right.
She's gunning it, and you know what? She might have him to the finish. Nope. A little behind, 27.84, but not too bad. Good job there by Pepito Conspita and Hunter Holloway. That was a very similar track, maybe a little bit wider to fence number 11, but still very nicely done. Second place right now for Hunter.
When Mclean landed over number 12, he was very much on the left side of the oxer, and that horse just ducked left and came on to the last fence. She was in the center of it, so she lands. So basically, she's got a fraction of a second, not a full second, but just fractions. And all these fractions add up.
Indeed, and Mclean came as tight as you would want to come to the Phelps Media and the Taylor Harris jumps on the way to fence number 13.
Yep.
Second rider representing Israel in the class here tonight, we've got Sydney Schulman aboard Via Mura. This is entry number 333, lucky threes in the arena now. And of course, Villamora has been a winner for her in a recent Grand Prix level event in Tryon, also in Traverse City earlier in the season. Several times, in fact, she led victory laps there. She's had just a great year between those two locations. And as I mentioned, Sydney Schulman and the Jill Schulman entry here representing Israel, the second pair to do so in this power and speed event.
Do you think some of the foreign riders are trying to stay in contention and stay in the top sport because the potential of the Olympic Games going again, and they have to keep these horses really all keen?
Yeah, that's got to be tough because the plan was to peak, in the late summer, early fall of this year for the Olympics, and then they didn't happen. So those horses where you would have started out the year that way, you had to sort of take a different tact, huh?
We don't see a lot of riders from Israel into the picture, but I think they're trying to build a squad.
Indeed, and you know what? Sydney and Daniel.
Ooh, that was definitely a different approach.
Wow, nice job there. But that was after, of course, a knockdown at number 10B. So 28 seconds on the dot with 4 faults for Villamora. That was a cool track, though. I liked seeing that. So we're about halfway now, 7th of 13 coming in. I was going to say that, yeah, for sure, if Team Israel is trying to stack up some good riders, they have done a fine job of it, but just between a couple that are in the class here today, Daniel Blumen and Sydney Schulman, both top level riders. And
they probably have some riders over in Europe, but they're still trying to stay at top sport. And top sport is shows like this.
Well, Margie Engel is with us. Margie Goldstein Engel, our rider now on course, native to South Florida, grew up loving horses, really got her Grand Prix start in the mid to late 80s, but she has really been just one of the iconic riders over the course of the last 3 decades for the United States, of course, having shown at Olympic and World Equestrian Games on our behalf, many times showing at the World Cup finals as well, Pan Am Games. She's had gold and silver medals there. So Margie today here aboard Aston des Etis.
Margie's probably one of the only riders that I know that's been in the sport that usually when we don't have a certain amount of horses that you can ride, where she's brought 5 horses to the event and be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the ribbons.
She's got records like that for sure.
Yes, she does, and you know, that's phenomenal.
We're not seeing that kind of stack up of consecutive ribbons as often recently from Margie, but she's got a lot of that through her history, and she has had quite a few wins this season.
Yeah.
I've also had a lot of fun. Oh, goodness gracious.
Little angle, just put her, there was a...
Yeah, when you take an angle into a combination, it's hard to get it right and get right back on track.
Yeah, that was the left-hand door was open.
I was just going to say that...
somebody left the screen door open.
I'm having a great time doing the commentary with you, Steve, but several weeks back in Columbus, Ohio, Margie sat down with me for a couple of days and also made it quite the fun outing there with a couple of the big classes at the Split Rock Tour.
She could have some stories to tell, I'm sure.
Indeed. Well, today the story, unfortunately, is going to be the fact that she had a run out in the combination, which means that's going to count as a refusal for 4 faults.
And I don't know that she was really looking for the victory in this particular class. Even her rollback was moderate. You know, it wasn't like whipped around there and just got going. She was, you know, doing a nice round.
So she finishes out with 9 faults total, 4 jumping faults as she ran out there. That counts as a disobedience or refusal. And then also, since we've gotten into the international classes now, it bears mentioning that it is 1 fault on the clock for every commenced 4 seconds over the time allowed. So just a little bit different from the national scoring that we saw earlier on. Next to go now, Shane Sweetenham for Ireland. He's here aboard Heart on Fire.
We got to call him, this is his hometown, wouldn't you say? Part of it, or
yeah,
one of
I mean,
them?
this is one of his bases of operations in Lexington.
He wants to read in the paper tomorrow morning. Local boy does good.
But of course, we know he's originally from Ireland, and his mount again, Heart on Fire. This is an entry of a Spy Coast Farm, which is located right next to the horse park here. Sweet Oak Farm, his own personal operation along with his wife Allie. And, of course, they've got kids coming up in the sport now as well.
They've done a great job with the Spike Horse horses and his horses too, since we saw him come into the sport in the United States.
Indeed,
he's created quite a number of wonderful champion jumpers in here, and then in the Spike Horse with the breeding program, that's a potential lifeline to his future.
Yeah, along with that, he's really actually, a lot of times the Irish riders come over here and they sort of get a leg up from fellow Irishmen. And I'd say Shane Sweetenham and the folks there at Spy Coast have really sort of allowed a lot of the Irish riders who are really steeped in a lot of horsemanship to come along and get established over here and then go on to their own operations. But Shane's really become iconic in that respect, but also, he's been a very, very dependable member of their Nations Cup teams as well, along with having his own wins in many, many locations, including right here at the horse park.
He chose not for the inside turn. I think he's bringing his horse along probably as he's going into the show, and doesn't really. He's just going to take what the clear round's going to give him.
One thing we haven't seen yet is penalties in the initial phase. Everybody who's had faults have gotten them in the speed phase. Shane goes clear, though, in 34.60 aboard Heart on Fire. 34.60, the penalty-free time there.
We sort of classify this class as part of the speed division of the horse show. And so these horses are, stars and going fast and doing little tricky courses like this one.
We've got Hilary Mcnerney coming up next. She's going to be here aboard Singuletto, number 311, one of our 5 remaining entries here in this power and speed competition in the international division.
Now, they will blow her out after number 8. She will only make it to number 8 because of the early rail at number 2. So she won't have an opportunity to show off her speed skills.
And Hilary Mcnerney here again aboard Singuletto. This is an 11-year-old Holsteiner gelding.
If I'm not mistaken, and I may be wrong, but anyway, this horse has a red ribbon in his tail. That's not to make him pretty. I think that this horse might have a reputation that he might kick back out at you, and that's a courtesy warning that he could possibly, kick or strike at you. So don't just run up on the back of me, because I might just be a little bit nervous about you coming up on the rear end of me, and I might have to punch you one.
Just a little bit wary of what's been behind him, maybe due to experience or maybe just due to nature. But that's it. It's interesting to note that the red ribbon's what we see most often, but there are a lot of other colored ribbons that sort of give you an idea about personality traits in a horse as well.
He had a ribbon on his head. He may headbutt you too.
We've got 4 more to go, and the legendary rider Rodrigo Pessoa is coming up next. Here he is aboard La Caramba, number 339. When I say legendary, I mean that because he has been a 3-time World Cup champion. He's been a 6-time Olympic and 6-time World Games rider.
And we know of his legendary dad, who, has got to be really proud of his son taking over and following his footsteps.
Indeed.
His dad was many times to the National Horse Show at Madison Square Garden. I mean, as a little guy, when I used to not go to watch it because I was from Florida. I had to be up there for a reason. That was a pretty snug turn.
Nice.
But, to watch him and go around.
Down. The tight turns and the speed, unfortunately, come for naught after you have the knockdowns, as he's had now at both 10A or 10B and 11.
Yeah. The 11 is a tight turn, and you really have to have a good eye and have good timing, because if you turn in there and it's not quite right, you got to be able to. How can I fit it in?
Rodrigo finishes out with 8 in the speed phase, 8 faults and 28.68 aboard La Caramba. Rider coming to us out of the West Coast in California is Carl Cook. Entry owned by Sidney Osby. This is Fissy Bell, number 336.
I've been told this boy could go fast.
Is that what you hear?
I have heard that he can. You know, this may not be the horse that he does that on, but a couple of weeks ago I heard that a guy went in the Grand Prix and it was unbelievable. Just Katie bar the door, and they were congratulating the other rider, and they looked up and this guy came in blew him away, and probably not by a lot, but.
Well, I can attest to that, having seen him in those efforts there in Tryon a couple of weeks back, but also in many others throughout the season, both here in the East Coast, or I should say in the Midwest, having shown in Columbus, North Carolina recently, but also out west in California.
He's definitely one of the California stars, right?
Indeed he is, with Fessibel and with his other horse, Caillou 24. He's had even more wins than Fessibel, but Fessibel's a 10-year-old bay Royal Dutch Warm Blood mare.
You know, California's produced some pretty decent
some talent,
Grand Prix riders, you know.
One of our judges here this week is Carlton Brooks, who many know as a fantastic horseman, dealing a lot more in the hunter realm, of course. But look at that effort.
That was a good turn. Okay. Let's see what happens, because he's going to be shooting for McLean's target. That was good. Now
he's getting wider than McLean did at 12. And can he cut inside here like McLean did? Yes, pretty much the same track, and he looks like he's ahead.
He does.
And he's there in 26:15, so indeed it will take over that lead. Nice job by Fessibel and Carl Cook. Did you actually make a claim that McLean was going to be the one in this class?
I think I did. I got to admit.
Oh, don't tell me you're going to
I
be off your count now. Steve picked all the previous winners, but
I did say Carl was fat. That he was fast.
I'll give you that out.
A little bit. I got to have a little bit of space.
Well, we've got now Bliss Here's coming to us, one of the two remaining. And Bliss, go ahead.
I did say if somebody beats McLean, they're going to have to work for it, and he did work for it.
Okay.
He did work for it.
One way or another, you definitely told the tale in advance of the actual story. But here is Bliss Here's. Riding Bridgeside Farms entry, Christos, number 302. Christos, a bay Holsteiner gelding, 11 years of age. Again, power and speed is the format of this International Open jumper class today. $36,000, quite a bit of money to be offered up in a power and speed class. You don't often see that either. TNR Development, by the way, our sponsor of the Open jumper class today. And don't forget, not only does the prize money at stake today matter, but also finishing at least one of the international jumper classes before the Grand Prix so that you're qualified for that Grand Prix tomorrow night.
Do these speed horses have another class tomorrow afternoon? Probably not. I don't have that scheduled in front of me, but this could be their feature class.
I believe we're wrapping up. It's been a condensed schedule this year for the international jumpers. In fact, jumpers in general used to start on Wednesday, go through Saturday. They started Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. Not nearly as many classes for the international jumpers this year.
We you know, at the National Horse Show, it was such a big division that the riders came with two horses, and they had a class every day, a speed class every day, and a jump-off class every day.
She went wide there after number 12 coming home now, so she lost a bit of time in that last turn, but she does stay clear in 33.53. And back to that point, yeah, we've had a lot of riders, or most of the riders did bring two horses here today, but we've had a lot less riders than you'd normally see at the National Horse Show.
And
of course,
back in the older days, they had the Puissance class. So there was another specialist horse that either came in just for that class.
Even here at the National Horse Show in Kentucky, the first year, in fact, the first couple of years, we had a Puissance.
And Puissance is basically a high jump class for the viewers that don't know that word. We use a few words in our equestrian language.
Well, this is Jordan Coyle, second of his rides for Ireland and the last one to compete here in the Power and Speed International Open Jumpers, riding for Elan Farm. This is the horse on which he won recently there in Tryon. It is Picador. Won a class of about the same prize money there.
Is he the rider that had to qualify? It pulled up last night?
Yeah, I got to take a look back at those standings to know for sure. But Picador has had, of course, a number of wins, including some Table A and faults converted wins at Spruce Meadows last year, but also a couple weeks back was the Tryon Classic winner that I told you about.
Because I was wondering why he was the only rider that had 2, and that's because he needed to get.
Well, I think you're correct in that he decided not to continue and finish out the course yesterday.
Pulled up
at fence 13.
Yeah, he didn't jump number 13, and we thought afterwards that, well, I think he made a mistake. He should have, he needed to finish that round. Whoops.
Digging in to get there, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
He was trying for it.
Well, he'll finish out with 4 in 27.28, but on the bright side, he did get through on his entries, and will have his chance to be a part of the Grand Prix here tomorrow night. It looks like the victory will go to Carl Cook in 26.15, exactly half a second faster than Mclean Ward, who finished in 26.65. Then Hunter Holloway in 27.84 for third place. Jordan Coyle's early ride finished in fourth in 28.43. Another clear from the early entry Daniel Blumen put him in fifth, and Bliss Hears also finished up with a clear in sixth to round out those top placings. Ken Marish will take care of the presentation of awards coming up, and we're going to majorly switch modes after this international jumper class, ladies and gentlemen, going from speed and faults to judging based on style in the upcoming Hunter Derby, a $50,000 classic. Presented by the Chronicle of the Horse. I called it a derby. That is one style of hunter competition. A classic's just a little bit different. And that one brought to us by the Chronicle of the Horse. But this International Open Jumper class has been brought to us by T&R Development based out of Florida. And we salute them for their support here at the National Horse Show. Again, we'll be turning you over to Ken Marish for the awards coming up.
All right, you're out.
So our thanks to T&R Development, a sponsor of our $36,600 International Speed Competition. Our congratulations here to our winner, fastest double clear ride, Carl Cook, 26.15 seconds aboard Fessy Bell. And putting his name on the Whitney Stone Memorial Trophy, donated by the late Mrs. Whitney Stone. Also on the Calfcoat Welcome Trophy, donated by the late Mr. T.V.W. Cushney, Mrs. T.V.W. Cushney, and Mr. and Mrs. H. Livingston Schwartz III, in memory of Mrs. James F. Kavanaugh. So our congratulations here to Carl. So, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to ask you to rise and face either the flag on the ceiling or one of our video boards. We'll salute our winning country, the United States, with our anthem. Carl Cook for the USA on Fessy Bell, the winner of our TNR Development International Speed. 10-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare by Cannonball out of Jappu. Winning time 26.15 seconds. Let's pass our awards coordinator there on the red carpet, along with ringmaster John Franzreb III, to put that blue ribbon on Fessy Bell and Carl Cook, putting his name on the Whitney Stone Memorial Trophy and the Calf Coat Welcome Trophy. And Carl will take a lap around, and we can celebrate his win here in our TNR Development International Speed. Half-second winning margin for Fessy Bell and Carl Cook in the International Speed competition. So congratulations again, Carl. Second place, that went to Mclean Ward at 26.65 on Katoki. Third place, Hunter Holloway, 27.84 with Pepita Conspeta. Jordan Coyle, fourth with Ariso. Daniel Blumen for Israel in fifth with Colestina H. Bliss Hears and Christos finishing up sixth. Shane Sweetnam, Heart on Fire, seventh. Jordan Coyle is eighth on Picador. Kristen Vanderveen picking up ninth with Bull Run's Faustino de Tilly. Sidney Schulman in 10th with Villamora. Rodrigo Pessoa 11th on La Caramba. And 12th going to Margie Goldstein Engel on Aston Deatis. So we'll turn the ring over to Bobby Murphy and the crew, and we'll change the ring here back to the Hunter Fences for tonight's feature event, our $50,000 National Horse Show Hunter Classic.